7 hidden hair signs you are entering a higher vibration. Carl Jung once said, "Your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakes." But what if the signs of that awakening were already manifesting physically right in the strands of your hair? Welcome back to Spiritual Wisdom, where we bridge the gap between ancient psychology and spiritual evolution. Today, we are revealing the 7 hidden hair signs you are entering a higher vibration, exploring how your physical form mirrors your internal growth. As we dive into this wisdom, I have a question for you. Have you noticed sudden changes in your hair's texture or vitality during moments of deep intuition? Let me know in the comments below. I read every story. Now, if you are ready to decode what your body is trying to tell you, let's begin this journey together. 1. Vibrational luminosity, the inner glow. In the vast and mysterious landscape of spirituality, our physical bodies often serve as the most honest barometers of our internal state, acting as maps that chart the geography of our souls. And nowhere is this more evident than in the condition of our hair, which has long been regarded in ancient traditions as an extension of the nervous system and a conductor of cosmic energy. As we embark on the tumultuous yet rewarding journey of a spiritual awakening, we often look for grand visions or thunderous revelations. Yet the truth is frequently found in the quiet transformation of our biology, specifically in what we might call vibrational luminosity, or the inner glow. This phenomenon is not merely a matter of aesthetics or the result of an expensive conditioning treatment, but rather, it is the first distinctive sign that you are entering a higher frequency of existence. You may begin to observe that your hair develops a natural, inexplicably radiant shine and luster that seems to emanate from the core of the strand itself, a sheen that no product, oil, or serum can artificially replicate because it is not born of chemistry, but of alchemy. This luminosity is the physical manifestation of energetic alignment, a concept that Carl Jung might liken to the integration of the shadow, where the friction of our internal conflicts ceases to drain us, allowing our vital life force to flow unimpeded. When you are trapped in the lower vibrations of survival, fear, and unresolved trauma, your body is in a constant state of physiological stress, a dryness that permeates every cell, rendering the hair brittle, dull, and lifeless, much like a plant deprived of water. However, as you commit to the work of spirituality, shedding the heavy, dense layers of accumulated anxiety and releasing the emotional burdens that have long weighed upon your shoulders, a miraculous physiological shift occurs. This release of emotional density acts like a soothing balm to your entire system, allowing your nervous system to shift from a sympathetic state of fight or flight into a parasympathetic state of rest and digest, deeply hydrating your internal landscape and calming the electrical storms of the mind. As this inner tranquility takes root, your body ceases to hoard its resources for survival and begins to channel energy toward flourishing, causing your hair to reflect the light of your inner peace. It is as if the very structure of your hair becomes translucent, a halo of vitality that signifies you have moved beyond the heavy, opaque armor of the ego and into the luminous transparency of the soul. This newfound shine is a testament to the fact that you are no longer merely surviving the chaos of the world, but you are metabolizing your experiences with grace, turning the lead of your suffering into the gold of wisdom. Therefore, when you catch that glint of light in your hair, recognize it not as vanity, but as a sacred confirmation that your spiritual awakening is physically altering you, proving that as you heal the invisible wounds within, the visible world begins to glow in resonance with your truest self. Comment below, "I radiate divine light," if you are ready to embrace your inner glow. 2. Effortless flow, softness, and manageability. Have you ever noticed that on certain mornings, as you stand before the mirror with your brush in hand, the bristles seem to glide through your strands as if they are moving through water, devoid of the usual resistance or knots that once plagued your daily routine? This subtle shift in the texture and manageability of your hair is not merely a result of a new conditioner or a change in the humidity, but rather it is a profound biological and energetic reflection of a much deeper transformation occurring within your psyche. Your hair is far more than just dead protein filaments. It is an extension of your nervous system and a sensitive antenna that broadcasts the state of your inner world, serving as a tangible record of your history, your stress, and your emotional vibration. In the past, when you found yourself constantly battling against the currents of your destiny, trying to control every outcome and micromanaging the people around you, your body was flooded with the chemistry of resistance, causing your hair to become brittle, tangled, and defensive, much like your own spirit. However, as you embark further on your path of spirituality and commit yourself to genuine spiritual development, a softness begins to emerge from the inside out, signaling that you have finally stopped forcing your way through life and have instead chosen to embrace the rhythm of existence. This transition into softness is the physical manifestation of surrender, a state where you are no longer holding on to old traumas or tightening your grip on how you think life ought to look, but are instead allowing the universe to support you. Just as water flows effortlessly around obstacles, never struggling but always finding its way, your spirit is learning to move with the same grace, and your physical body is responding by releasing the tension it has held for years. The knots in your hair were often symbolic of the knots in your mind, the overthinking, the worry, and the rigid need for certainty. But as those mental knots loosen through your dedication to spiritual development, the physical manifestations of that stress dissolve alongside them. You are entering a vibration of ease where the struggle is replaced by trust. And this lack of internal resistance means your energy field is no longer jagged or chaotic, but smooth and harmonious. It is a sign that you are becoming a vessel for higher energy, allowing life to move through you rather than crashing against you. And this effortless flow is the ultimate confirmation that you are aligning with your true, authentic self. When you stop fighting the wars within yourself, your body receives the signal that it is safe to soften, safe to relax, and safe to shine without defense. This change in your hair is a quiet, intimate message from your soul to your conscious mind, validating that the inner work you have been doing is taking root and bearing fruit in the material world. It is a reminder that the most powerful form of strength is not rigidity or hardness, but rather the capacity to remain soft and manageable in a world that often demands hardness. As you continue to nurture your spirituality you will find that this manageability extends far beyond your morning routine, seeping into your relationships, your career, and your daily challenges, turning what used to be mountains of frustration into simple, manageable hills. You are no longer a stone blocking the river, but the water itself. And in this state of effortless flow, you realize that everything you need comes to you not because you forced it, but because you became the kind of person who could receive it with grace. 3. Scalp sensitivity, the crown chakra opening. The phenomenon often begins subtly, manifesting as an inexplicable tingling sensation, a gentle pressure, or a distinct heightened sensitivity to touch and temperature specifically localized on the scalp, acting as the first tangible indicator that you are entering a higher vibration. This is not a sensation to be dismissed as a mere dermatological triviality or a reaction to the physical environment. Rather, it represents a profound physiological and energetic shift occurring at the very summit of your being. In the realm of spiritual wisdom, the scalp is far more than just skin covering the skull. It is the physical guardian of the crown chakra, the energetic gateway known in ancient traditions as the thousand-petaled lotus. When you experience this specific type of sensitivity, it signifies that this dormant energy center is stirring from its slumber, effectively thinning the veil between your individual consciousness and the expansive energy of the universe. It is as if the roof of your spiritual house is being opened to allow the light of the cosmos to flood in, and your physical body is reacting to this immense influx of high-frequency light and information by creating these somatic sensations. You are physically registering the presence of the divine, feeling the weight of spiritual downloads as they press against the boundaries of your current understanding, urging you to expand your capacity for awareness. Central to this experience is the role of your hair, which serves a function far more complex and mystical than modern aesthetics acknowledge. Within this context of spiritual awakening, your hair acts as a sophisticated spiritual sensor, operating much like the delicate whiskers of a feline or the antennae of an insect, reaching out into the ether to gather subtle data. Each strand of hair is rooted in a nerve-rich follicle that acts as a conduit for energy, picking up on the electromagnetic frequencies and emotional vibrations of the environment around you. When your vibration raises, your nervous system becomes hyper-attuned, and your hair becomes an extension of this heightened nervous system, detecting shifts in the atmosphere that the eyes cannot see and the ears cannot hear. This creates a feedback loop where the external vibrations of the world interact directly with your internal energetic state through the medium of the scalp. It validates the ancient belief held by many indigenous cultures and sages that long hair preserves energy and increases intuition. You are literally feeling the static of the spiritual realm as your personal frequency aligns with the higher dimensions, turning your physical form into a finely tuned instrument of reception. This biological and spiritual integration brings to mind the profound insights of Carl Jung, who dedicated his life to bridging the gap between the known physical world and the unknown depths of the psyche. Jung famously noted that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are. And this scalp sensitivity is a somatic marker of that becoming, a sign that the self is merging with the greater whole. As the crown chakra opens and the scalp tingles with this new aliveness, You are stepping out of the isolation of the ego and into the collective interconnectedness that Jung described. The pressure you feel is the dissolving of old mental structures, making way for a new architecture of thought that is aligned with universal truth. It is a process of energetic refinement where the body must adjust to house a more potent spirit. Therefore, when this sensation arises, it is an invitation to stillness and trust, a confirmation that you are not just imagining a change, but are physically and spiritually mutating into a being capable of holding and transmitting a frequency of light that was previously inaccessible to you. If you accept this energy and are ready to expand, repeat after me. I release all resistance to my awakening. I claim this energetic shift as a blessing for my soul. 4. Resonance with authenticity, loving your natural texture. The journey into a higher state of consciousness often manifests first in the quietest moments of your morning routine, specifically in the sudden, inexplicable drop of the desire to alter who you are physically. For the longest time, your hair may have been viewed as a project, a problem to be solved, or a wild entity to be tamed through heat, chemicals, and relentless manipulation. This compulsion to straighten what is naturally curly or to curl what is naturally straight is rarely just about aesthetic preference. Rather, it is deeply rooted in the illusion of control, a psychological mechanism where the ego attempts to dictate reality to assuage the subtle fear of not being enough. However, as you undergo a profound spiritual awakening, this internal friction begins to dissolve, and you find yourself looking in the mirror, feeling a strange, new exhaustion with the artifice of it all. The straightening irons gather dust. The appointments to chemically alter your essence are canceled, and in their place rises a profound sense of peace with your natural state. This is the undeniable sign of resonance with authenticity, a clear indication that the war you have been waging against your own biology is finally coming to an end. This significant shift represents an act of what can be best described as vibrational sovereignty, a reclaiming of your energy from the external expectations that once held you captive. When you stop manipulating your hair, you are doing far more than changing a hairstyle. You are releasing the deep-seated shame that once whispered that your natural texture, your raw, unedited self, was essentially flawed, messy, or inadequate. In the realm of deep spirituality, this is a critical pivot point where the soul asserts its dominance over the persona, allowing the mask to fall away so the true self can breathe. By embracing your natural texture, you are returning to your authentic code, signaling to the universe that you are finally safe to be yourself without modification or apology. The specific patterns, waves, or flow you once despised become a testament to your freedom, serving as a physical declaration that you are no longer willing to twist yourself into shapes that do not fit your spirit. You are learning to flow with the river of your own existence rather than swimming upstream against it. And this radical acceptance of your physical reality serves as the ultimate foundation for holding a higher vibration. 5. Hair appearing in dreams. When you drift into the enigmatic world of dreams, you are not simply experiencing random firings of the brain, but rather entering a sacred dialogue with your own subconscious, where deep truths are communicated through powerful symbols. Among these nocturnal messages the appearance of hair stands out as a profound indicator of your current state of being, signaling that you are traversing a critical threshold in your personal spirituality. In these visions, hair is far more than a physical trait. It serves as a potent archetype for your identity, your vitality, and the psychic power you hold in the waking world. When your soul begins to vibrate at a higher frequency, your subconscious mind uses the image of hair to illustrate the complex changes happening within your internal landscape, acting as a mirror to the transformation of your ego and self-concept. If you find yourself dreaming of cutting your hair, this is rarely a sign of vanity or superficial change, but rather a dramatic and necessary symbol of release and renewal. This act signifies that you are consciously or unconsciously severing ties with a past version of yourself that no longer resonates with your evolving spirit. It is a visual representation of shedding old skins, letting go of outdated beliefs, and releasing the heavy emotional baggage that has kept you tethered to a lower vibration. By removing the old hair in the dream, you are making space for new growth, effectively declaring to the universe that you are ready to step into a lighter, more authentic existence. This is a crucial aspect of spiritual development, as it requires the bravery to dismantle who you were to become who you are destined to be. On the other hand, dreams that involve brushing, grooming, or attempting to untangle knotted hair point toward a desire for clarity and the restoration of order within your psyche. When you encounter tangled hair in a dream, it often reflects the confusion or chaotic energy you may be navigating in your daily life, serving as a gentle nudge from your inner self to pause and address these complications. The act of brushing through these knots symbolizes your active participation in smoothing out the rough edges of your thoughts and emotions, aligning your mental state with the peace you seek. It suggests that you are in the process of integrating new wisdom, organizing your internal world so that intuition can flow through you without obstruction, much like energy flowing through the nervous system. These vivid dreams are confirmations that your soul is hard at work, even while your body rests, integrating the massive spiritual shifts you are experiencing. Whether you are cutting away the old or grooming the new, your subconscious is revealing that your identity is fluid and currently undergoing a magnificent restructuring. By paying attention to these signs, you validate your own journey, understanding that the changes in your self-perception are not crises, but celebrations of growth. You are effectively graduating to a new level of consciousness, where your external identity is finally beginning to match the luminous, high vibrational reality of your spirit. Leave a like and subscribe to our channel, and activate the notification bell so you don't miss any profound insights like this, and continue elevating your frequency. Type in the comments, "I am ready to receive higher wisdom." 6. Syncing with lunar cycles. There is a profound and often overlooked phenomenon that occurs when your internal vibration begins to rise. A subtle communication between your physical body and the cosmos that manifests through the simple, everyday act of grooming. You may find yourself standing in front of a mirror, struck by a sudden, visceral urge to cut your hair, or, conversely, an overwhelming desire to deeply nourish and treat it without any logical reason or planned schedule. If you were to check the calendar in that precise moment, you would likely discover a startling synchronization. Your intuitive impulse aligns perfectly with the phases of the moon. This is not a coincidence, nor is it merely a fleeting whim of vanity. It is a powerful indication that you have begun to exit the rigid, linear construct of artificial clock time and have successfully returned to organic spiritual timing. In this state, you are no longer marching to the mechanical ticking of a man-made watch, but rather flowing with the ancient cyclical rhythms of nature itself, vibrating in harmony with the celestial bodies that govern the tides and the seasons. This deep sensitivity suggests that your connection to the natural world is being restored to its primal state. Consider for a moment that the human body is composed largely of water, much like the surface of the earth. And just as the moon's gravitational pull commands the rising and falling of the ocean tides, it exerts a similar influence over the biological waters within you. When you are operating at a lower vibration, you are often numb to these pulls, distracted by the noise of modern society and the demands of the ego. However, as you access deeper spiritual wisdom, your physical vessel becomes a finely tuned instrument, an antenna capable of detecting subtle shifts in universal energy. As the renowned psychologist Carl Jung famously observed, at some point, the earth will have to answer. In your case, the earth is answering through your intuition, signaling that your psyche is no longer separate from the environment, but is intertwined with the living soul of the world. You are experiencing what the ancients knew instinctively, that we are microcosms of the macrocosm, and our growth cycles mirror those of the planets. When this synchronization fully takes hold, you will notice that your urges are not random, but specific to the energy of the lunar cycle. For instance, during the waxing phase leading up to the full moon, when the energy of the universe is expanding and reaching its peak, you might feel a sudden heaviness in your hair, a desire to release and let go. This is because hair often holds on to energetic residue, serving as a record of your past emotions and stressors. Cutting your hair during the full moon becomes a spiritual ritual of release, shedding the dead weight of the past just as the moon completes its cycle of illumination. Conversely, during the new moon, when the sky is dark and the energy is focused on germination and new beginnings, you may feel a magnetic pull to apply oils, massage your scalp, or nurture your roots. This is your intuition guiding you to sow seeds of intention, focusing on health and internal growth when the cosmic energy supports new life. You are acting without checking a forecast because your spirit is the forecast. This shift represents a liberation from the matrix of artificial time, the stressful, linear pressure that dictates we must always be producing, moving, and doing. By syncing with lunar cycles, you are embracing the wisdom of rest and flow. You are acknowledging that there is a time to grow and a time to prune, a time to hold on and a time to let go. The philosopher Lao Tzu once wrote, "Nature does not hurry, yet everything is accomplished." By embodying this truth through your hair care rituals, you are stepping into a higher frequency of existence where you trust the timing of your life implicitly. You are no longer fighting the current. You are becoming the river. This alignment is one of the quietest yet most definitive proofs that you are walking a path of enlightenment, guided not by the expectations of the world, but by the silent, rhythmic wisdom of the universe itself. 7. Intuitive styling. Energy management. As you traverse the deeper layers of your spiritual awakening, one of the most profound yet subtle shifts occurs in the relationship you hold with your physical vessel, specifically regarding the crowning glory that is your hair. You may find yourself moving away from styling choices dictated by vanity, fashion trends, or social expectations, and instead, you begin to embrace a form of intuitive styling that prioritizes energetic resonance over aesthetic perfection. This transition is not merely a change in taste, it is a surfacing of deep, subconscious wisdom, where you begin to recognize that your hair serves as a biological extension of your nervous system, acting as a sensitive antenna that interacts with the electromagnetic fields around you. In the realm of spirituality, this realization marks a pivotal moment where you stop viewing your body as a mannequin to be decorated and start treating it as a sacred instrument of energy management, instinctively knowing how to modulate your frequency through the manipulation of your hair. When you feel an inexplicable compulsion to gather your hair into a tight bun or a high knot atop your head, you are engaging in a powerful act of energetic containment and preservation. This is often not a conscious decision to look tidy, but rather a spiritual reflex to seal your crown chakra and prevent the leakage of your vital life force during moments requiring intense concentration or self-protection. By pulling the hair away from the face and neck and coiling it upon the crown, you are symbolically and energetically closing the circuit, signaling to the universe that you are in a state of consolidation. It allows you to harness your scattered thoughts, bringing them into a singular point of focus, much like a laser, enabling you to navigate complex tasks or deep introspection without being drained by external static. You are creating a fortress of solitude within your own aura, establishing a boundary that says you are currently self-contained and holding your power within. In direct contrast to this containment, there are days when the very sensation of a hair tie feels suffocating, and your spirit demands the freedom of loose, flowing strands. This urge usually coincides with periods where your intuition is seeking to expand, and you are in a state of high receptivity to the messages of the cosmos. Wearing your hair down unbinds your antennas, allowing the free flow of energy to move through every strand, thereby heightening your sensitivity to the environment and the emotions of others. It is an act of energetic vulnerability and openness, a way of declaring your readiness to feel, sense, and commune with the invisible world. In this state, your hair acts as a net, catching the subtle breezes of inspiration and the whispers of divine guidance, integrating the external world with your internal landscape in a seamless dance of connection. Furthermore, we must consider the ancient and deliberate practice of braiding, which serves as a profound mechanism for grounding and structural alignment. When you feel drawn to weave your hair into plaits, you are subconsciously performing a ritual of binding the mind, body, and spirit into a cohesive whole. The rhythmic motion of overlapping three strands creates a geometry of stability, acting as an anchor when the high-frequency energies of a spiritual awakening feel too chaotic or overwhelming. A braid is not just a hairstyle, it is a woven intention, a way to tame the wildness of pure energy and channel it into a tangible, manageable form. It connects you to the earth, reminding you that while your spirit may soar, your feet must remain planted. Ultimately, this intuitive styling is a clear indication that you have graduated from superficial grooming to masterful energy work, utilizing the natural tools of your body to protect your aura, enhance your intuition, and maintain your spiritual equilibrium. If this message has resonated with your spirit today, leave a comment of affirmation. I embrace my transformation. I am stepping into my highest vibration. In the end, view these changes in your hair as your spiritual antenna tuning into a new station. You are entering a season of heightened intuition and power. Do not ignore these silent signals. Instead, honor them as proof that you are entering a higher vibration and becoming the person you are destined to be. If you found value in this video, please hit the like button and share this wisdom with a friend. Don't forget to subscribe to the Spiritual Wisdom channel and click the bell icon to stay updated. We will see you in the next video. 7 signs that show you are being targeted by toxic people. Knowing your own darkness is the best method for dealing with the darknesses of other people. Carl Jung. Have you ever felt like a magnet for negativity, or that certain individuals are instinctively drawn to drain your energy? You are not alone, and according to analytical psychology, this is rarely a coincidence. Welcome back to Spiritual Wisdom. In today's video, we are diving deep into the unconscious dynamics of relationships to uncover the 7 signs that you are being targeted by toxic people. These aren't just red flags. They are invitations to strengthen your boundaries and integrate your shadow. By applying these insights to your daily life, you can reclaim your energy, move from being a victim to a victor, and find the authentic happiness you deserve. Which of these signs have you encountered in your own journey? Let us know in the comments below. And let's begin this path to self-discovery together. 1. Unusual, invasive attention. The first and perhaps most chilling sign that you are being targeted is the presence of unusual, invasive attention, a phenomenon that feels less like admiration and more like a dissection of your character. You may notice that this person watches you with an intensity that feels heavy, a gaze that does not linger with affection, but pierces through you with cold calculation. This is because they do not admire you. They study you. Much like a predator observing prey in the wild, they are monitoring your every move, specifically analyzing how you handle pressure, stress, and disrespect to gather data on your psychological makeup. This phase is not about connection. It is a reconnaissance mission where they are mapping the topography of your emotions to find your breaking points and your boundaries. They are quietly noting what makes you smile, what makes you anxious, and most importantly, what you are willing to tolerate in the name of politeness or kindness. Beneath the guise of being interested in your life, they are running a series of silent tests, perhaps dropping a subtle insult or crossing a small boundary just to see if you will correct them or let it slide. As this invasive observation continues, they are looking for specific traits that mark you as a high-value target in their distorted reality. If their data collection reveals that you are deeply empathetic, forgiving, or slow to anger, they do not view these as virtues to be cherished, but as vulnerabilities to be leveraged. In their eyes, your patience signals that you are a manageable target, someone who will absorb their toxicity without immediate retaliation. They are searching for the person who will rationalize their bad behavior, the one who looks for the good in everyone, because that is the person they can control for the longest period. This is a perversion of connection, where your spiritual light becomes a beacon for their shadow. They crave your stability because they are internally chaotic. Consequently, this intense focus is the precursor to manipulation, as they are essentially building a user manual for your psyche, learning exactly which buttons to press to elicit the emotional supply they desperately need. Therefore, when you feel that piercing, analytical gaze, trust your instincts and realize that true connection feels like freedom, not like being placed under a microscope for inspection. Comment below, "I protect my energy," if you are ready to set boundaries against invasive attention. 2. Testing your boundaries. The journey of spiritual growth often means becoming a beacon of light in a world that can sometimes feel too dark. And it is this very radiance that attracts those living in the shadows. As you embark on your journey of self-awareness and growth, you will inevitably encounter individuals, conscious or unconscious, who seek to dim your light. And one of the most dangerous methods they employ is the subtle, calculated erosion of your personal sovereignty. You may find this movement begins not with a loud, hostile declaration, but with a silent, almost imperceptible intrusion into your personal space, a phenomenon best understood as the rigorous testing of your boundaries. This is no accident. It's a strategic probing, where toxic individuals deliberately cross boundaries with petty insults disguised as jokes, frequently interrupting you while you're speaking, or asking personal questions that you feel are slightly intrusive to the level of intimacy you share, all with the aim of measuring your tolerance and seeing how much of their burden you're willing to bear. Carl Jung warned us about the shadow, the repressed dark side of the psyche, and these individuals often manifest their own unresolved shadows by projecting them onto you, probing whether you accept their projection without resistance. As this testing phase progresses, the relationship becomes a psychological game where your reactions are meticulously recorded. If you choose to overlook these minor faults in order to appear kind or maintain peace, you inadvertently send a signal that you may succumb to their will. In the spiritual realm, we often confuse passivity with peace, believing that turning the other cheek means allowing our spirit to be trampled upon. But true wisdom recognizes that a boundary without consequences is merely a suggestion. When you allow these interruptions or insults to go unchecked, the toxic individual realizes your fortress is unguarded, and this knowledge allows them to go further, escalating their behavior from minor annoyances to serious violations of your dignity. However, the situation will change dramatically if you decide to stand firm and assert your value. If you resist their intrusion, you will find that they don't simply apologize and retreat. Instead, they often change tactics, transforming from aggressor into victim, or psychologically manipulating you into believing you are overly sensitive. But they never truly stop testing the limits of your patience. This persistent testing is characteristic of someone who views relationships not as the union of two souls, but as a struggle for dominance. And recognizing this is crucial for your continued growth. They constantly examine the structural integrity of your self-esteem, searching for loopholes where they can insert influence and control. It's important to understand that their behavior rarely relates to you personally, but rather to their need to regulate their own inner turmoil by controlling the external environment, including you. By maintaining a state of heightened vigilance and observing these interactions through the lens of spiritual wisdom, you can recognize what these tests are: invitations to lower your vibration and engage with a lower frequency of existence. Your journey demands constant vigilance, understanding that even as they change their methods, from overt criticism to passive-aggressive silence, their underlying intention to break down your defenses remains unchanged until you fortify your boundaries to be impenetrable. And recognizing that you are being targeted in this way is not a curse, but a call to strengthen your resolve, forcing you to clearly define who you are and what you allow into your sacred space. 3. Infiltrating your emotional space. Have you ever met someone new who, within moments of the introduction, made you feel as though you were the center of their universe, yet left you with a subtle, nagging feeling of unease that you could not quite place? This is often the first and most dangerous of the 7 signs that you are being targeted by a toxic individual, a maneuver that can be best described as the infiltration of your emotional space. In the realm of spiritual wisdom, we are often taught that trust is something sacred, a garden that must be tended to and grown over time. But a toxic person does not have the patience for seasons. They want the harvest immediately. They attempt to bypass professional or social distance with alarming speed, disregarding the natural boundaries that exist to protect your psyche. Instead of engaging in the polite, surface-level small talk that characterizes a healthy new acquaintance, like discussing the weather, work, or shared hobbies, they dive straight into the deep end, asking probing questions about your insecurities, your past traumas, and your current stressors. They do this under the cleverly disguised guise of concern or deep empathy, making you feel seen and heard in a way that feels intoxicatingly validating. However, you must understand that this is not genuine connection. It is reconnaissance. As the renowned Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung once profoundly stated, "Where love rules, there is no will to power, and where power predominates, love is lacking." This quote perfectly illuminates their motivation, because their intrusion is not an act of love, but a calculated move for power. They are systematically scanning your emotional architecture to find where the doors are unlocked and where the windows are left open. They are hunting for your weak points, not to heal them, but to catalog them for later use. By encouraging you to overshare before trust has been earned, they create a false sense of intimacy, a phenomenon often called artificial closeness, which tricks your brain into believing this person is a safe haven. This is a violation of your spiritual boundaries. In spiritual wisdom, we understand that your energy is your currency, and you should not spend it on those who have not proven their worthiness to hold it. When you reveal your deepest fears to a manipulator, you are essentially handing them the blueprints to your soul, showing them exactly where to strike to hurt you the most when the mask inevitably slips. They want to know that you have abandonment issues so they can threaten to leave you. They want to know you feel inadequate at work so they can subtly criticize your career choices later. It is vital to remember that healthy relationships unfold like a flower, petal by petal, whereas toxic entanglements feel like an avalanche, overwhelming, fast, and destructive. If you feel rushed, if you feel that someone is prying into the dark corners of your life too soon, listen to that quiet voice of intuition. As the poet Maya Angelou famously said, "When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time." If they show you they have no respect for the pace of your heart, believe that they will have no respect for the peace of your soul. Protect your inner sanctuary, for it is the most precious thing you possess, and true companions will respect the walls you have built until you are ready to open the gate yourself. Are you ready to reclaim your emotional space? If so, comment below. I choose boundaries to affirm your protection against toxic influence. 4. Subtle linguistic dominance. There is a profound and often unsettling realization that occurs when you begin to walk the path of true self-discovery. A realization that the darkness we fear is rarely a monster screaming in the night, but rather a shadow whispering kindly in our ear. As you deepen your understanding of the human psyche and traverse the delicate stages of your spiritual awakening, you will inevitably encounter individuals who do not wish to see you rise, but rather seek to anchor you to their own unresolved depths. It is essential to recognize that these toxic interactions are not always defined by open hostility or obvious aggression, which are easy to spot and defend against. Instead, the most dangerous form of control is invisible, cloaked in the guise of friendship or concern, and it begins with a psychological maneuver known as subtle linguistic dominance. This is not merely a conversation. It is a calculated game of hierarchy, where the other person uses language not to connect, but to position themselves vertically above you, establishing a subtle but firm dominance that is designed to erode your confidence without you even realizing the ground is shifting beneath your feet. You must pay close attention to the specific texture of their words, for this dominance often manifests through condescending tones that are soft enough to be plausible deniability, but sharp enough to cut through your self-esteem. They are masters of the backhanded compliment, a verbal weapon wrapped in silk, where they might say things like, "You are so brave to wear that I could never pull it off," or "It is great that you are finally trying to get your life together." Statements that ostensibly sound like praise, but actually carry a heavy, hidden payload of judgment and superiority. This behavior is deeply rooted in what Carl Jung would describe as the projection of the shadow. They project their own insecurities and need for control onto you, using unsolicited advice as a primary mechanism to reinforce this imbalance. When they offer you guidance that you never asked for, they are not acting out of altruism or genuine care, but rather they are subtly implying that you are incapable of managing your own existence and that they possess the wisdom you lack, thereby stealing your autonomy and painting themselves as the benevolent savior in a narrative where you are the helpless victim. The most chilling aspect of this dynamic, however, is not just what they say, but how they observe you while they say it. These individuals are predators of the psyche who meticulously watch for your micro-reactions, those split-second involuntary shifts in your facial expression or body language that reveal your inner state. They are scanning you for a flinch, a moment of hesitation, or a flicker of self-doubt, because these tiny signals act as confirmation that their tactic is working and that their barb has landed. If you pause, stutter, or look away in confusion, you have unwittingly handed them the validation they crave, proving to them that your emotional state is now under their jurisdiction. In the realm of spirituality, where your goal is to reclaim your sovereign energy and maintain a high vibration, falling prey to this linguistic trap acts as a heavy anchor, draining your vitality and leaving you questioning your own reality. This is a test of your awareness, for the toxic individual relies entirely on your lack of consciousness to maintain their control. They need you to remain asleep to the nuance of their manipulation. However, as you progress through your spiritual awakening, your intuition becomes sharper, and you begin to hear the undertone beneath the pleasantries, recognizing that their help is actually a disguise for their need to feel superior. By seeing this behavior for what it is, a desperate attempt by their ego to secure a sense of power, you strip them of their influence. You learn to stand firm in your own truth, offering no micro-reaction for them to feed upon. And in that stillness, you break the cycle of dominance, proving that while they may try to use words to build a cage around you, your spirit has already found the key to freedom. 5. Manipulating group dynamics. Have you ever walked into a room where you once felt welcomed, only to be met with a sudden, inexplicable chill in the air? It is a heavy, suffocating silence that suggests words were being exchanged just moments before you arrived, and it is one of the most unsettling indicators that you are being targeted by a toxic individual who is manipulating group dynamics against you. This behavior goes far beyond simple gossip or high school cliques. It is a calculated psychological maneuver designed to dismantle your reality. The toxic person understands that to control you, they must first isolate you, and to isolate you, they must poison the social soil in which you stand. They systematically begin to distort the perception others have of you, planting seeds of doubt and creating misunderstandings where none existed before. It is a shadowy art form where they act as the architect of chaos, yet often present themselves as the innocent peacemaker or the concerned friend to those around you. As you navigate this difficult terrain, you will notice that this manipulation is rarely done in plain sight. Instead, it operates through the subtle erosion of your reputation. The toxic individual will often highlight your mistakes to others, not with the intention of helping you grow, but to weaken your support system and validate their own distorted narrative. They might take a small, insignificant error you made and magnify it under a false lens of concern, whispering to your friends or colleagues, "I am so worried about them. Did you see what they did?" This is a projection of their own inner darkness, a concept deeply rooted in the philosophy of Carl Jung. By casting a shadow over your character, they attempt to hide their own insecurities and malicious intent. They are trying to sever the bonds of trust you have built with others, because a strong support system acts as a mirror that reflects your true worth. And that reflection is exactly what they want to shatter. When you are surrounded by people who love and understand you, the toxic person loses their power to define your reality. Therefore, they must cut those ties to make you easier to control. This experience, while incredibly painful, is frequently a catalyst for profound spirituality and self-discovery. When the external validation of your social circle is stripped away or tainted, you are forced to turn inward and rely on your own intuition and strength. You begin to see who truly values you and who was merely a bystander in your life. The toxic person's attempt to isolate you actually serves to filter your surroundings, leaving you only with those who possess the discernment to see the truth. In the realm of spiritual development, this is often viewed not as a punishment, but as a fierce clearing of the path. It teaches you that your value is not determined by the whispers of others or the number of people in your corner, but by the integrity of your own soul. You learn that those who are easily swayed by the poisoning of your environment were never truly your people to begin with. Furthermore, realizing that you are the target of such calculated manipulation is a sign that you possess a light or a strength that the toxic person finds threatening. They do not target those they deem beneath them. They target those who have something they envy or lack. Your resilience in the face of this social sabotage is a testament to your character. As you continue your journey, remember that the truth has a way of revealing itself in time. The cracks in their fabricated stories will eventually show, and the people who are meant to be in your life will see through the smoke and mirrors. Until then, stand firm in your truth, for this trial is forging a stronger, more discerning version of yourself, one that is no longer dependent on the approval of the crowd, but is anchored in deep self-knowledge and spiritual wisdom. Stay connected with our community of wisdom seekers by subscribing to our channel. Here, we share deep psychological insights to help you protect your energy and strengthen your spirit. Remember, you possess a unique inner strength, deserving of a life free from manipulation and full of peace. 6. Mirroring, the chameleon effect. Have you ever met someone new and felt an immediate, almost electric sense of recognition, as if you have known them for lifetimes? They seem to love everything you love. They speak with your cadence, and they validate your deepest values with an enthusiasm that feels destined. It is easy to believe that you have finally found a kindred spirit or a soulmate who understands you completely. But spiritual wisdom urges you to pause and look closer. For this intense alignment is often not destiny, but a psychological weapon known as mirroring. In the realm of dark psychology, this is often called the chameleon effect, where a toxic individual suppresses their own identity or lack thereof to perfectly mimic yours. They are studying you with the precision of a predator, observing your body language, your tone of voice, and the subtle cues of your vulnerabilities to construct a mask that looks exactly like your ideal partner or friend. You must understand that this is not compatibility. It is a strategy designed to bypass your critical thinking and lower your defenses before you even realize you are under siege. As the great Swiss psychiatrist Carl Jung once profoundly stated, the world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you. In this case, the toxic person is telling you that they are exactly who you want them to be, but they are only reflecting your own light back at you to gain entry into your soul. When you are being targeted, the process feels rushed. The intimacy is manufactured at a speed that defies the natural, slow rhythm of genuine human connection. You might find yourself sharing your deepest secrets within hours of meeting them, prompted by their false vulnerability, only to find them nodding in perfect agreement with every opinion you hold. This is where your intuition and your inner spiritual wisdom must be heeded. If it feels too perfect, too fast, or too smooth, it is likely an illusion. They are holding up a mirror to your ego, feeding you the validation you crave, but there is no substance behind the glass. Carl Jung warned us about the dangers of the persona, the social mask we wear, but toxic individuals take this to a malignant extreme. They have no core self, so they steal yours for a fleeting moment to entrap you. By mimicking your values and likes, they create a false sense of safety, making you feel that to reject them would be to reject a part of yourself. However, you must remember that true spiritual connection requires the friction of difference and the patience of time to grow. Real relationships are built on the slow revelation of truth, not the instant gratification of a perfect echo. If you ignore these signs, you risk letting a vampire into your life who will drain your energy and then discard the mask the moment they have what they want. Therefore, when the connection feels dazzlingly instant, step back into your center, consult your intuition, and ask yourself, am I seeing a real person? Or am I just falling in love with my own reflection? 7. Curiosity turns into fixation. Have you ever felt a gaze that lingers just a moment too long? A sudden intensity in a relationship that feels less like connection and more like consumption? In the vast and often turbulent ocean of human interaction, we frequently encounter souls who are drawn to our light. Yet not all who approach the warmth of your spirit come with the intention of sharing it. Some come to steal it. As you journey deeper into your own spirituality, peeling back the layers of the unconscious mind to reach a state of true self-awareness, you will inevitably shine brighter, and this luminance acts as a beacon. While this light attracts fellow travelers and kindred spirits, it also draws the attention of those who dwell in the unhealed darkness of their own shadows. Carl Jung warned us that until we make the unconscious conscious, it will direct our lives, and we will call it fate. Similarly, toxic individuals are often driven by unconscious forces they cannot control, seeking to anchor themselves to your stability. Recognizing their tactics is not just about psychology. It is a critical step in protecting your energy during your spiritual awakening, ensuring that your path remains clear of those who view your soul not as a sanctuary, but as a resource to be depleted. This brings us to the first and perhaps most deceptive sign that you are being targeted. When what appears to be innocent curiosity mutates into an unnerving fixation. At the onset, this attention can feel flattering, mimicking the intimacy of a profound connection. Yet if you look closer, you will see that they are not engaging with you. They are studying you. They monitor your moods with a hypervigilance that feels suffocating, tracking the subtle shifts in your emotional state not to offer comfort, but to gather data. This behavior is rooted in a deep-seated need for control. For by knowing exactly what makes you tick, they believe they can manipulate the mechanism of your heart. They remember the smallest details of your life, a casual mention of a childhood fear, a preference for coffee, a specific insecurity, and while this may masquerade as affection, it is actually the weaponization of intimacy. They are hoarding these fragments of your identity to construct a cage, demanding more and more of your time until your world shrinks down to fit the size of their needs. In the realm of spirituality, we understand that true love and high vibrational connection are expansive, allowing both souls to breathe and grow. But this toxic fixation is the antithesis of growth. It is possession disguised as passion. They do not see you as an autonomous being with your own destiny. They see you as an extension of themselves, an object to be owned rather than a person to be cherished. This is why they view your independence as a mortal threat. Every time you assert your boundaries or choose to spend time in your own company, which is essential for anyone undergoing a spiritual awakening, they react with volatility or guilt, for your autonomy reminds them of their own inner emptiness. They are terrified that if you stand alone, you will realize you do not need them, and that realization shatters the illusion of control they rely on to survive. Therefore, when you notice that interest has hardened into obsession and that your freedom is being treated as a betrayal, understand that you are not being loved. You are being targeted by a spirit that seeks to feed on your light rather than ignite its own. If you are still with us, please comment, "I am protecting my peace," below. Your engagement signals to us that you are ready to set stronger boundaries. Remember, your energy is a finite resource, and recognizing these signs is the first step toward protecting it. You are not responsible for the toxicity of others, but you are responsible for the boundaries you set. Use this wisdom to reclaim your space and stand firm in your own light. If this message resonated with you, help us spread the light by hitting the like button and sharing this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the Spiritual Wisdom channel and turn on notifications to stay updated with our latest videos.